From the visionary director of The Witch and, of course, The Lighthouse, Robert Eggers returns with his brand new action-filled epic Norse mythology story that follows a young Viking prince on his quest to avenge his father's murder. This is Northman. Starring the likes of Alexander Skarsgård, Nicole Kidman, Claes Bang, Ethan Hawke, Anya Taylor-Joy, and, of course, Willem Dafoe. This has been one of my most anticipated films for quite a while, ever since I heard that Robert Eggers was going to be doing a Viking film. And that sounds, again, just as epic as you would imagine. And it is. I have so much love for this movie, and honestly, leaving the theater, I just felt speechless. I had to pick my jaw off the ground and put it back up and readjust it, because truly enough, this is a movie that will be for the ages, a film that is loved for years to come, and so many people will be able to study and cinematically figure out so many different things with this. And with The Witch being one of my favorite horror films of all time, what I'm about to say is going to blow your mind, because The Northman is one of the best films of the last 5 years, and hands down is Robert Eggers' best film. Cementing Robert Eggers as one of the best directors working of the last decade, and truly enough, I cannot believe how great this film is. Like, I didn't see a single trailer. I only saw posters and snippets of little pictures from the film. Other than that, I didn't know what to expect. But it really much is a $90 million Focus Features. I cannot believe you gave him $90 million to do this, but thank you for doing that. But it's a $90 million Robert Eggers Norse Viking mythology action adventure thriller. And that's exactly what it is, and I loved it. And I think a lot of you guys also will be, and that's where we're going to get those thoughts down below in the comment section. So leave a comment, guys, because I got to hear your thoughts. As well, if you're new here and you also love talking movies, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so we can keep talking movies over here on a daily basis. Getting right into this movie, the one thing I have to start talking about first is, again, Eggers as a director. Something that he's really much been able to do, whether it's with The Witch and The Lighthouse, and something that we've effectively seen is, of course, horror, world building, and the way that he historically brings about certain things, especially in the time periods that he takes place in them. Whether we look at The Witch and the way that they would talk, whether it was with their speech, their accents, and the world that he builds around there within the religion of it all, feels so realistic in a sense that it's very much atmospheric for us to feel involved, to the point where when you're watching this movie in a theater or at home, you feel like you are taken to a brand new world. Eggers infuses what he had built on with The Witch and The Lighthouse and brings it inside this awesome tale. And within The Northman, you truly feel like you are back in these Norse times with these Vikings, with these people and these religions and these cultures that they are bringing about. And it never for a second do you say, oh, that's Ethan Hawke, or yeah, of course that's Nicole Kidman or Alexander Skarsgård. You are truly in a trance from their performances, but also from Eggers directing. We're going to talk about the performances, but truly enough cannot be said about what Eggers was able to do from a writing and a directing standpoint. Because everything in this film is firing on all cylinders. And before I even start to talk about all the technical achievements that they were able to accomplish within this film, what else he is able to do is, again, further out this world. The way that he builds up the culture and how it does feel like all this time period and all these different things in the production design with the ships and the rowboats and the way that he even films the action scenes, it's so lively and beautifully brought about in such a visceral, brutal, and gory way. It makes sense for it to be that way because that is how it would have been during that time period and really much how it would have been fleshed out. Watching this, I can't express enough. Let Robert Eggers direct a God of War movie. That would be pretty sick. Going away from my nerdy side, seriously enough, I am in complete awe of how he was able to build off his previous two movies and create such an epic. And it just goes as far to show why he is one of the best directors working today. The way that he's able to again, create an atmospheric adventure that very much feels like something you are able to believe in. Whether it's diving into the Valkyries of the Norse mythology, or even the gods at this time, or even, again, some thematics that Eggers is able to weave in a way that feels great. But it still feels like an Eggers film from start to finish. There's some weird acid lucid dream sequences in here, and again, there's very violent moments, which is something that we've seen in all of his films beforehand, brought about in a very accessible way that I think people will be able to watch this and be like, yes, I love movies, and I love how they're able to very much develop these. I think you can very much feel the passion coming from Eggers in all these sequences, but again, whether it's with all that, and you can get that shock and awe with all the way that the film looks, because again, the cinematography is speechlessly amazing and very much a delight. a treat, and every single moment and every sequence is just something to marvel at. Some of the stylistic choices that Eggers very much chooses to do in here, especially all the night sequences, and the way that he kind of infuses this black and white tint over it, was just amazing, and something that I have not seen any other film ever go back and forth between. But in this film, it felt stylistically perfect for what they needed to do. There's one sequence where Alexander Skarsgård drops into this like wooden abandoned boat, and he has this fight sequence in there, and the entire thing is just amazing. And one of the things that even goes to that is the film just gets better and better. It starts great, it gets to a great middling point, and it ends with a ferocious, again, visceral third act. And the last 20 minutes is probably some of my favorite 20 minutes that I've seen in a film in quite a while. Just the cinematography alone in that scene, it deserves an actual Oscar nomination right off the bat, and a lot of you guys are going to be blown away from that last 20 minutes. I think that's what I want to go as far as say and jump into the technical aspects, because again, the cinematography, the score, the way that all brings to life this world. Without it, this film would be nothing. But the fact that the cinematography, the score, and everything is just weaving together in such perfect harmony, again, excels in making you feel like you are transporting back to this time period. And last but not least, of course, the production design, the costume design, all of those sorts of things, you really feel like you are not batting an eye. I felt like I transported back to this time period. And it's very hard for that to happen in a lot of times when I watch movies nowadays. It's always fabricated, and I feel like a lot of these films, like say The Last Duel, a film that I actually really liked, sometimes it did feel a little bit cheap in certain aspects, and it made me just be like, oh yeah, that's Ben Affleck, that's Matt Damon, that's Adam Driver. This one, you just totally get so immersed, and it was quite special. One of the things that I was mentioning earlier, but I kept getting off topic, was of course the way that Eggers writes in certain themes, whether it's the cycle of violence, with the revenge storytelling that we're getting here, the spiritual journey that one character must go on, and maybe some elements of greed and our choices for what might be best for us, and really much some promises that we might have made to ourselves. One character truly goes onto a spiritual journey of one that very much resides in three different aspects: emotion, heart, and violence. And the way that all three of these things weave into his main personality, and really much all the choices that he must make along the way, absolutely add to everything that the Northman really much brings about, and again makes it such a smart tale to tell. Well, yes, in our world we typically don't see people running around with axes going for vengeance to kill someone, but there are still story elements in here that feel very relatable to today, and Shakespearean in a style that again Eggers makes feels fresh than before. Honestly, if I'm giving any nitpicks to the movie, the only thing I would say is that it does feel a little bit familiar within certain story developments in here. You've seen certain things like choices, because again it is very Shakespearean, but even besides that, you push that to the side, it's such a small nitpick besides that. Last thing I do really want to mention is of course the performances, because Alexander Skarsgård gives such a visceral and brutal performance, one that is honestly very subdued, and probably easily is his best performance to date. Just the acting that he does in his eyes, his grunting, and his physical body movement is something that many actors do not get down, but he's also very much able to express himself in a very verbal way. Being able to do both at the same time is such a top-tier talent, and Skarsgård deserves a lot of praise for that. Nicole Kidman has one of the best monologues in the entire film. Ethan Hawke absolutely transforms into his character, and I wish there was more of him, but for the small role that he had in here, he was fantastic. Willem Dafoe's absolutely batshit crazy, but what did you expect? Claes Bang, who is brand new, I've never seen him in anything before, is wonderfully incredible and has some of the best elements through the second and third act of the film. And Anya Taylor-Joy once again steals a lot of moments, being pretty much the central heart of the story at certain points in time, and very much her relationship and her chemistry with Skarsgård is so important to the story. I loved it, and I couldn't get enough of both of them on screen. I can't express enough. Robert Eggers has crafted one for the ages. The Northman is a cinematic epic that blew my mind from start to finish, lavishing cinematography that brings to life this entire Norse era, visceral violence that adds to the world, and the action set pieces are freaking amazing. You are really much able to dive into them in such an amazing way and feel immersed. The atmosphere here is developed in a way that that Eggers has only crafted before, but now is masterfully developed and cinematically a treat. And really much the jaw-dropping third act will have so many of you guys thinking. There are so many different moments in here that I just cannot take out of my mind. They're going to be embedded in there for such a long time. And what this film should do is inspire younger kids who are maybe trying to get into film. They're going to see this film for the first time and be like, holy shit, I want to learn more about movies. We all have that one movie, and honestly, like, while there are a couple movies throughout the year that always do reinvigorate my love for filmmaking and film in general, The Northman absolutely adds that. And if I'm ever feeling burnt out, this is going to be one of the films that I put in to watch and be like, yes, this is why I love film. So much to say, but all of it to love. Besides the little thing with the story feeling a little bit, you know, you've heard it all before, but still enough. That is such a nitpick. I don't care. I love this movie. It's Robert Eggers' best film to date, and that's why I'm going to give this film an A+. Startled from beginning to end, and I can't wait to see this film again. And I really can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section, so make sure to leave a comment, hit that like and subscribe button, and also head on over to Sandwich on Films on how to see films early, because I think you guys need to get some early giveaways over there, as well as just get up to date on all the early movie news. But of course, until next time, stay classy.